Hello everyone, and welcome to the first ever devlog for Vengeful Rites, a virtual reality RPG. My name is Anthony, and today I'd like to talk to you guys about the new systems we've put in place to try to create a more immersive experience for our players. For those of you who have already played the game, hopefully you'll have noticed that immersion is a major concern for us. It's something we've tried to put a lot of effort into, making everything feel as though we're made for VR and to really pull you in so you feel like you're in the game. To that end, we have things like physical inventory where you can keep your weapons, physical actual inventory where you can store items and grab them as though you were actually going through your backpack, magic and spells that use physics to try to make it feel like you're really there and have skill play a huge factor. But one of the ways we felt the game was lacking in that regard is that the enemies all felt very static, and there was a few reasons for that, one of which is that enemies currently just spawn and then they hang out where they spawn, they wait there for you to show up, and then you get into these intentional encounters that we've designed that, while they're not bad, they definitely don't make the game feel as dynamic or lived in as we'd like it to feel. We'd like to create a sense of a living, breathing world that you're exploring, not something that exists only because you're there. So to that end, one of the things we've added to the game now is roaming enemies. You may have noticed a moment ago that there was a goblin hanging out against that wall, and he decided to take off and go do some rounds. So he'll be walking around this little test maze, effectively, that I've built just for testing this out, and he'll be looking for the player wherever he can find it. But one of the things we realized almost immediately with that system is that while that's cool and it'll make the game feel more dynamic, if the way the aggression worked stayed the same, it wouldn't make much of a difference. So if an enemy walked away and you tried to sneak up behind him, for example, previously, no matter what, if you were within a certain range, they would know you were there and that was it. They would lock onto you and you'd be in a fight. So what we've done now is we've incorporated stealth mechanics. So for example, this enemy here in front of me is, he's got his back to me, he has no idea I'm here. This one, he's not looking at me, so he doesn't know that I'm here. And that's a change already. So there's a field of view that they have now, which is effectively like a cone, as you might expect. And if you're not within that cone, they won't know that you're there unless you're making enough noise. So the way that you do that now is when moving with locomotion, not in your normal room scale space if you have it, is your footsteps that play now scale in volume based off your speed. And this works both for sliding locomotion and for teleportation. So you'll see in a second, I'll start walking around. You could tell the footsteps get louder the faster I move. Okay. I have been spotted. I don't know if he alerted the archer behind him. He did. Okay. It begins. I think that I'll be fine. Oh, that's something new also. If you saw that, this goblin now has armor. You can see I keep hitting him in the shoulder, and as a result I'm dealing reduced damage because his shoulder is armored. So in a future update, out in this most immediate one coming up, we'll be having that added to it too, where enemies will have dynamic armor. They'll have a set that they could have any number of pieces from, and at runtime it'll be randomly selected which ones they have, so that when you're attacking them, you'll have to be more deliberate in where you strike. Alright, this one's given up on me because he hasn't seen me for a while. But I'll demonstrate now how the movement system works for speed. So you'll see that as I approach this guy, he has no idea that I'm here because I'm moving slowly enough. Oh, you may also notice that he has different coloring to him. That's also, this is the first implementation of a new system we're putting in that'll go alongside the armor system to make the enemies all feel different. They'll have different textures and they'll look different. Right now it's mostly just different color palettes, but that's, like I said, that's just the beginning of it. It's going to be much more in-depth. But as you can see, he doesn't know that I'm here. However, if I start moving too quickly, he'll hear me and he immediately raises his guard and he wants to brawl. See this one, these guys have the same armor, right? They're both wearing the same set of shoulder guards or pauldrons, whatever you'd like to call them. But again, that's going to be all randomized. So going forward, you'll have a lot more variety. Even though they're technically the same goblin, they'll provide different challenges and you'll have to approach each one a little bit differently. But you saw that he managed to catch up to me immediately as soon as I started moving too quickly. But other guys, if you do manage to catch them off guard and you get up to them by moving slowly enough, you can get a nice damage bonus out of it. So the way that it works currently, although this is of course subject to being tweaked further, is enemies will take double damage while they're off guard, if they're not aware that you're there. And as soon as they know that you're there and they grab their sword, that's when the damage goes back to normal. So, for example, you'll see this goblin that's hanging out over here. If I sneak up to him, and I hit him before he knows that I'm here, he'll take much higher damage than he normally would. So pay attention to the damage numbers. See, 38 and 53, and the 38 was only because I hit armor, but now I hit and see I'm back doing my 20s or so. So if you sneak up on an enemy, you get a very nice advantage there to your damage. So, and with archery, for example, if you don't already know, a ranged headshot with archery deals more damage than an up-close headshot, and you get a nice bonus for that, which is also double, but that stacks with it. So this guy, for example, has no idea that I'm here. If I get a headshot on him now, I will do 4 times my normal bow damage, which is more than enough to one-shot him. See, 120 damage. This guy only has 90 health, so he was done. Granted, I'm using the best bow you can acquire in Chapter 1, but even if I weren't, you could potentially one-shot one of those guys from stealth with the starting bow if you have perks into archery damage, which I don't have any perks right now. In this build, I have no perks whatsoever. It's strictly stock values. I just happen to have the best sword and bow from Chapter 1. That's all we're doing here. But that's mostly it, or that's most of what I wanted to show you guys. Aside from that, we have other options and bug fixes coming, and one of the new options that people have asked for is this one, where you can see the center of your play space. You can see these arrows here showing me forward for my play space, and you can turn that on or off as you like, and it's just one way to make it a little bit easier for people to not break their controllers, basically, because some people, it's very easy to get caught up, especially in a game like this. You're fighting an enemy, you dodge to the side, and before you realize it, you're swinging your sword, and you're 2 feet off your center, and you're slamming into a wall. So we've added this to hopefully help people avoid that. But again, as with everything else in the game, if you don't like it, it's a single button press and disabled. Very easy. And just one more way we're trying to help players customize their experience to make it the best it can be for everybody. But that's pretty much everything for now. We'll be doing more devlogs in the future. We'll be showing off the new armor system that I'm talking about, where you'll see enemies having different pieces of armor as they go, new textures and such to make it look a little more dynamic. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you'd like to provide us with feedback or share your thoughts or ideas or criticisms of the game, I'll put a link to our Discord in the description below. And we look forward to hearing from you. And even if not, thanks for watching. Bye, guys.